kick to the midline. Midline is considered from the waistline, belt line, to the bottom of the neck. Targets would be the bottom rib, floating rib, liver, spleen, even sometimes the kidney. You can sometimes even work the midline kick to the hip joint. 3 basic drills that we do, especially at a beginning level, is we work our footwork, we work a pivot, and we work our hand position. First of all, with the footwork for the midline round kick, we're going to work a triangle step or a 45-degree step. It's just like a step and slide motion, but instead of going forward, backward, left, or right, we just cut it at a 45-degree angle. So it looks like this, stepping at 45. What this helps do is it generates more power through the target, and it also gets your head off center line. So again, a 45-degree step is just a step and slide at a 45-degree angle to develop more power through the target and to get your head off center line. Second part is we're going to work our foot rotation, or our lower body rotation. To do this, you're just going to lift yourself up on the balls of your feet and then pivot. Again, lifting yourself up on the balls of your feet and we pivot. This just gets you used to the pivot motion on your front foot and the hip torque. So again, lifting and pivot. And you just keep to rep this out so your body, your brain get conditioned to do this. And just pivoting. So again, you lift high on the balls of your feet and you pivot. Last part to this is we're going to work our hand positioning. The opposite hand of the leg that's kicking with is going to be your protection hand. It can go to your temple, just like on your punches. Sometimes it's taught to go to the front of the forehead, sometimes to the near side temple, meaning the kicking side temple. Opposite hand is going to be speed, bounce, power generation hand. So as I work my hands, my lead hand, opposite hand of your kicking leg, which would be, in this case, my right leg, goes back to my temple, and my opposite arm whips past my leg. This whipping motion helps the acceleration on the kick, it helps your balance, and with that acceleration balance, it will develop more power. We like to consider this like a spaghetti noodle. It's nice and relaxed and it's tight to our body. So it's not stiff, swinging far from my body. It's nice and relaxed, and it swings back as close to my hip as possible to where it's almost going to come back and hit your tailbone. So again, it's keeping our limbs close to our body, everything compact so we can generate maximum power. Swinging it out here is taking away from that power. It's just like sprinters. When sprinters run, their arms are tight. They're not running way out here. Okay? So they're keeping everything tight and compact for that speed and power. So the hand position will look like this. Opposite hand comes back to the temple as the arm swings past the kicking leg. Hand can go to the front of the head. We sometimes refer to this as like a unicorn position. Or you can bring the hand to the opposite side of the head. Taught all 3 different ways. You can choose what works best for you. And then the same side kicking leg arm swings past your hip bone to where you're thinking it's also come back and tap your tailbone. And like a spaghetti noodle, not stiff, nice and relaxed. So if we put the last 2 together, you're just going to work this final drill, lift up on the balls of your feet, and pivot with a swing. And you want to think that your shoulder is coming to your jawline. When you work the rear leg round kick, you want to think of it like a doorway with 3 hinges. The 3 hinges would be your ankle, your foot, your hip, and your shoulder. All 3 have to turn over for your kick to have that maximum power. So as I lift up on the balls of my feet and pivot with my arm swing, everything's working together. Shoulders turn over, hips turning over, foot's turning over. Lift, pivot. Lift, pivot. Okay. When you work your rear leg round kick, any kick for that matter, your tie kicks, you want to kick with the middle of your shin bone. The shin bone has a flat part on the inside and it has that sharp blade on the very front. Middle of our shin bone, the hardest, strongest weight-bearing bone in our body. That's what we're trying to put on a target, not the foot. Although that could happen in a live action sport, ideally you want to put the middle of your shin bone on the target. So again, if you feel your shin, you have the blade on the front, that's for kicking the target. The flap on the inside will be more for your defenses. So again, there are 3 drills you can work. A step, 45-degree angle step. Just going back and forth. Lifting up on the balls of your feet, understand the pivot and the hip turn. Lift, pivot, lift, pivot. And then the hand position. Temple, center of the forehead, opposite side or near side to the kicking leg. And whipping arm. Not a swing arm, it's a whip. Nice and relaxed, pass your hip to your tailbone. Hands here. Putting the last 2 together, you lift, pivot. 3 hinges. Foot, hip, and shoulder. Those are the basics of trying to learn and develop your midline Muay Thai round kick. Of your midline kick, you want to think that you're coming up at a 45-degree angle and then cutting it across the target. It's like you're going to cut the target in half. So it's up at a 45-degree angle and then cut it straight through. It's like your legs will be parallel to the ground as it's going through the target. So it's not a loose, looping kick. It stays really tight. That helps keep the target of the body so there's more power behind the kick. And you want to think that your knee is in about the same line as your foot. So not knee below the foot or knee too much higher than the foot. It's up in about the same plane. Your upper body wants to stay about upright as much as possible. Meaning you don't want to lean back on your kick. When you're leaning back, part of your body weight, power is going back, harder to the target. So with the midline, you want to keep it pretty much erect, straight up, and through the target, with your body more upright, not leaning. So you have all that good base and maximum power on the midline kick. To develop your rear leg round kick to the mid-level, we're going to use Thai pads. And using pad work or using Thai pads for this particular technique, and drilling on pads develops the power, the speed, and the technique itself, and then with all that, conditioning is developed. So just a few rear leg round kicks. Now when you're holding for these rear leg round kicks, you want to think that you're going to put the Thai pads on the left side of your hip, where your hip bone is separating the 2 pads. So right here. You want to hold them as much to a 90-degree angle as you can. You're not going to be able to hold them directly at 90, but you want to think that, so it's a little more upright. You don't want them angling down too far. So right up here. So they're forced to kick through and across the pads. So right here. When you hold for the round kick, bend your knees a little bit. So you got a good solid base and you're not going to be knocked over all over the place. So right off to the side of your body, hip separates the 2 pads, tighten your body 90 degrees, bend the knees a little bit. And then when they kick, you exhale. Because anytime you get hit, punch, kick, knee, in the midsection, you want to breathe and exhale out. So a few rear leg round kicks. That's a good way to develop your rear leg round kick, utilizing the Thai kick.